Hello everyone, welcome back to Blooms and Bicycles and hope you're having a lovely November so far. We're really excited to share with you today the November Embers medium letterbox flowers, which come with all the toffee, caramel and appley tones that you'd expect at this time of year. Once Mother Nature's summer abundances have softly whittled away, apple trees stand with their proudly poised branches laden with clusters of fruit. Ready for the picking at the prospect of apple crumbles and pies, wicker baskets on our bicycles come into their own once more, ready for any foraging adventures. So in comes the season for the sweet crunch of toffee apples and aptly named cinder toffee, making the perfect treats to have around the blazing bonfires, which when in full roaring flame, become mesmerising as its embers that glow like the leaves on the trees drift upwards into the night sky to blend with the stars. Today our water vessels are already prepared with the water and the flower feed. However, if you would like to learn how to prepare your flowers, you can find our flower care video via the link in the description box below. So to begin with, we'll start by constructing our grid as we always do, using the strongest of stems. So first, to take our Copper Beech, which comes already as a natural fan shape, we'll take advantage of this and put it, as it is already, at the very back of the flower vase. Now to take our oak stem, which is very sturdy and upright in contrast, we'll position this towards the front. And given the mythology of the oak tree and all of the associated fables, which are very appropriately told of at this time of year, it seemed quite fitting to put this at the front of the design. Now to add in our mimosa, which as you can see comes at varying sizes, and looking relative to the size of the vase, we'll then trim it down so that it doesn't topple out when added in. And working with the magic of 3, we have 2 pieces sweeping off to the left and right, and we'll therefore add the smallest one at the opening in the very front. And next to add our heavyweight stems which come with this piece, which is this beautiful scroll-shaped cinnamon, which smells divine by the way, and this apple on a stick, which has a scented wax. Just to add some further dimension, we'll add these in on either side. So synonymous with this time of year, it feels appropriate to ensure they too, like the oak leaves, have full visibility. So next to take our apple-toned roses, which come in this deep red and this pink ladylike variety, just like the types you would see in apple orchards across our lands at this time of year. We'll then also look to create some natural irregular balance by trimming them both down to different heights and adding again one off to the front and one off to the back, using the tallest rose towards the back and the shorter one at the front. And then just making sure the rose is able to feature without being overshadowed by the oak leaf. We'll ensure it's positioned in such a way where it still gets full visibility alongside all of the other pieces. And now to take our purple stems of Astrantia and Eustoma, we'll first add in the Astrantia, which is much more delicate, allowing this to sweep off towards the front and weave itself naturally around the oak leaf. It will very much complement the tones of the oak leaf if positioned nearby. And then it's entirely up to you. You can leave your Eustoma as just one piece as it is now, or you can split this off into smaller sections. So given we already have 1 point of purple in the design so far, we'll split this Eustoma off into 2 pieces, so again we're working to the magic of 3 to build out a triangle. And we'll do this by cutting away just above the first offshoot, cutting on the main stem at an angle so there's as much surface area as possible for nutrients and water to be extracted up the stem. Taking the taller piece, we'll position this towards the back alongside the deep rose. So removing any of the leaves which will fall under the watermark, we'll then position the final piece of Eustoma in our grid. It doesn't necessarily have to sit all the way at the bottom of the vase, as we always say, as long as it's underneath the water level, which is always maintained by making sure your vase is topped up regularly. And now to take our caramel coloured flower varieties, which are this beautiful variety of chrysanthemum, which actually comes with its protective net still on. And the reason we do this is because you only want to take this off right at the last moment so that the shelf life of the flower will last as long as possible when in its display and not before. So gently pull apart the net, up the side to release the flower, making sure never to pull the tight net off the flower head, because what can sometimes happen is the flower head can snap off with the net. And then just gradually teasing it open with the tips of your fingers. It's like a caramel firework. And then what's so beautiful about this variety is that it has a cerise pink colour on the underneath of the petals, which offer a perfect graduation into the other flower varieties and the more ruby coloured tones that run throughout the design. So we'll just trim away a little bit more off the bottom of the stem, ensuring it's not the same height as some of the other flowers, so that the different points of interest are still there, allowing the eye to move throughout the design. And by offering different heights and different points of interest, it avoids the design looking too busy. So next, to take our carnations, we'll then have these maybe sloping off together on the opposite side to where this chrysanthemum has now decided to naturally fall. Irregular shapes and unusual angles are always the best way to keep the eye moving throughout the display. And the more the eye moves throughout the display, the more successful the design. And I think this is probably an opportunity to do exactly that. So just work with the grid and keep repositioning things until it sits in a place where you're happy. Now what I would say is, given we want this cinnamon stick to be a central focal point, we don't want this carnation to sit too high in relation, so we'll just drop the height of this by snipping a little bit more off. And we might do the same with the other one. So making sure they're not exactly the same in height. There is now a natural fan shape, as you can see, between the 3 points of caramel colour. And now just to add a final splash of Barbie pink, as we always do in our flowers at Blooms and Bicycles. As well as because we're in love with a little bit of Barbie, it is also an unexpected pop of colour. And again, going back to having surprises in your flower designs, it is definitely one way to introduce a surprising aspect to your display. So we'll just pop this in at the very front. So we really have now got this beautiful graduation of heights, starting at the very top with this deep red apple coloured rose, and then gradually cascading down to the front of the design where the stems become shorter, but still irregular in their distribution and their heights to create that natural burst effect. So just to give it a final once over, making sure the design is balanced throughout. So I think this chrysanthemum has just slightly moved. And making sure the apple is fully visible also. And finally fix back into position our darker apple rose. We may just also then want to reduce the height of this oak leaf, taking away any leaves which fall under the watermark. We'll add this back in. And as you can see, by just dropping the height of this oak leaf, it now very much complements the rose, adding real contrast with the colouring rather than dominating it and hiding it, because they were both so similar in height just before. So now that's done, we have a nice balanced design. So as a final touch, we can always take a nice book and use this to prop up our flowers. And then just taking the leaves we removed earlier, we'll just scatter these under the flower design to make them look like they've just fallen from the tree. And a couple on the book, just for good measure. And there you have it, the November Embers medium letterbox flowers. I hope you enjoy the rest of your month. We can't wait to see you next time.